Rabotai, welcome back to Halacha series of Evean HaEzer. We are continuing in Siman Aleph Halacha Bet. This is part 2 of the Shi'ur. Rabotai, we're going to dive in from where we left off yesterday, but before we do that, just a small review, and I want to explain something very important, because I want to use these terminologies without having to define them. Yesterday we did see from the Cham, the Ramah, and the Rambam that a woman, we're not allowed to use the money of the Sefer Torah to marry off an orphan girl because she's not included in the mitzvah of L'Shevet Yatzara. I'll explain that, Rabotai. However, according to the Bash and the Radach, we did see that she's included in the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara, so therefore you are allowed to use the money of the Sefer Torah to go ahead and marry her off. Now you have to understand, why is this so important, Rabotai? Let's do it like this. There are two important mitzvot that follow Pru'urvu. But we're going to see now that there's a difference of opinion. What's more important, L'Shevet Yatzara or Pru'urvu? We'll see this right now. So what do I mean that there's other mitzvot besides Pru'urvu? So if we look at the first mitzvah of Le'erev al Tanach Yadcha, which means in the evening do not hold your hand back, this can be applied to many subjects. But to the subject at the hand right now, we're speaking about over here that if a person fulfilled the mitzvah of Pru'urvu, we're going to tell him, do not hold back from having more children. That means to say, a person is obligated to have more children even after he did the mitzvah of Pru'urvu. And this is a very big mistake we make. A person feels that he did the mitzvah of Pru'urvu and he's free. Not so. After a person did the mitzvah of Pru'urvu, he has another mitzvah which rests on his shoulder, and that is Le'erev al Tanach Yadcha. Alright? I'm going to say it in Hebrew, but you have to know the English translation. Alright, let's upgrade our learning. Okay, remember, this is not a regular shur, it's Evean HaEzer. L'Shevet Yatzara. What about L'Shevet Yatzara? Because the pasuk says that Hashem did not create the world to be a wasteland. Rather, He created that it should be inhabited and populated with people. So if that's the case, Rabotai, this mitzvah, who does it really apply to? According to the Cham, the Ramah, and the Rambam, it only applies to a guy where he did not fulfill the mitzvah of Pru'urvu. We will get there. But according to the Bash and the Radach, no, it doesn't have nothing to do with Pru'urvu. If it has nothing to do with Pru'urvu, that's why it can be even applied to a girl. Again, Rabotai, remember, you have to remember yesterday's shi'ur. So just have these terminologies down as we go along. I'm going to explain it. Alright, so we have Le'erev al Tanach Yadcha. Basically, we're going to be more delving into this one. L'Shevet Yatzara, okay? Now what we want to see is like this. We have to ask ourselves like this. Which mitzvah is more important? Is the mitzvah of L'Shevet Yatzara more important? Or is the mitzvah of Pru'urvu more important? We're going to see, Tosfot is going to want to prove to us that the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara is more important. But with the way we were learning it yesterday, it's a problem. How can you tell me the Shevet Yatzara is more important than the mitzvah of Pru'urvu, which you're making it connected, that they're interconnected? That means, when are we going to go ahead and tell you you're allowed to sell the Sefer Torah for a boy that needs to get married and have children? That's specifically if he did not do the mitzvah of Pru'urvu. Because the Shevet Yatzara and Pru'urvu go hand in hand. The mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara comes only if the person did not do the mitzvah of Pru'urvu. But if the person did the mitzvah of Pru'urvu, he does not have the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara because they go hand in hand. That's why we're going to see Tosfot learns that the Shevet Yatzara does not apply to women because they don't have the mitzvah of Pru'urvu. However, go the other way around. Go with the Bash and the Radach. They tell you clearly that a woman is included in the Shevet Yatzara. How can she be included in the Shevet Yatzara? Because they hold that the Shevet Yatzara and Pru'urvu have nothing to do with each other. Not like Tosfot that wants to say they're interconnected. According to the Bash, he wants to say that the Shevet Yatzara is by itself. Pru'urvu is by itself. Good. So if they're by itself, that's why I'm allowed to even use it for a woman. Why? Because a woman also has an obligation to populate the world. But if I would connect it like the Cham and the Ramah and the Rambam, where the Tosfot brings down that the Shevet Yatzara is connected to Pru'urvu, Beautiful. It's connected to Pru. You are only allowed to sell the Sefer Torah for Pru cases, but not for any other case. Meaning, not for a guy who already did the mitzvah of Pru and now he wants to get remarried, Chas v'shalom, maybe got divorced or something, and now he wants to use the Sefer Torah. That's not our problem. You already did the mitzvah of Pru. You can't use the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara to go ahead and sell the Sefer Torah now. But when it comes to the Bash, says, what do you mean? What's one have to do with another? You're allowed to go ahead and sell the Sefer Torah because he still has the mitzvah for the Shevet Yatzara. But on the other hand, Tosfot is going to tell you when it comes to a girl, an orphan girl, since she's not including the mitzvah of Puru, she's not including the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara, so you cannot use the money of the Sefer Torah to marry her off. Comes the Bash, is going to tell you, why not? Because remember, the Bash doesn't hold that they're connected. So if they're not connected, the Bash is going to tell you how to use the mitzvah for the orphan girl because she's included in the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara. Now, Rabotai, let's see the Tosfot. Hopefully, you guys will get it clear. And B'lineda will just hopefully do a small review if we get it good. Okay. After explaining yesterday, we saw that the machloket yesterday, repeat it one more time. We saw the machloket yesterday between the Cham and the Bash. Keep it simple. The Cham says you're not allowed to use the Sefer Torah money for an orphan girl because she does not have the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara. The Bash says, what do you mean? Of course she has the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara. What is the machloket between both of them? Does the Shevet Yatzara connect to Puru or not? Is it interconnected or not? According to the Cham, you're going to say yes. According to the Bash, you're going to say no. Because remember, when do I have the Shevet Yatzara? That's only when I have Pru. That's what the Cham is going to tell you. The Bash is going to tell you, why? Pru is one mitzvah, the Shevet Yatzara is another mitzvah. I want to ask you a simple question. If a person does not have the head tefillin, can he put on the head tefillin? Yes or no? Absolutely he's allowed to. What's the problem? Let him go ahead and put it on. What does this mitzvah have to do with this mitzvah? They're not interconnected. That's what the Bash is telling you. L'shevet Yatzara is a different mitzvah. Puru is a different mitzvah. Now, Rabotai, with all this in mind, with all this background, let's try to go ahead and see the Behetiv. Again, I'm going to ask this as questions, and I'll explain it as we go along. So the Behetiv said, I'm going to read yesterday's question one more time to get us into it. So the Behetiv is going to go and he's going to try to explain now. It's a little bit difficult in the world of the Bash, that he says you're allowed to use L'shevet Yatzara. Why? Because once I'm going to use L'shevet Yatzara for an orphan girl, then I have a problem with Tosfot in Masechet Chagiga. In page 2, side 2, where he learns over there that L'shevet Yatzara and Puru are connected. But the way the Bash wants to learn, they're not connected. So it makes it a little bit, how can the Bash go ahead against a clear Tosfot? Let's just see it, Rabotai. Let's see it inside. Let me have my tea and then we'll go straight inside. Thank you, Hashem. Okay. Rabotai, the Behetiv says, we are in Ot Bet in the Behetiv. Uluchoy Rakashim. He says, and seemingly it's difficult. Why? The Im Yesh Lomar, because if you're going to say, the Mochrim Sefer Torah Bishvil Asi Yutoma Kedele Kayem Shevet Yatzara, that one is allowed to go ahead and sell the Sefer Torah in order to marry off an orphan girl, in order for her to fulfill the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara. Imken, if so, listen carefully. Hachinam is so too. Mochrim Sefer Torah Bishvil Shelo Yamod Ubelo Isha. So too one is allowed to go ahead and sell the Sefer Torah on behalf of a guy in order for him not to be without a wife. Even if he fulfilled the mitzvah of Puru. Why? Because they're not interconnected. They're two separate things. So good. He did the mitzvah of Puru, but now he has another mitzvah on him of the Shevet Yatzara. Good. If he has the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara, sell the Torah. If you're going to use that logic, like the Bash wants to say, that I'm allowed to use the Sefer Torah money for the Shevet Yatzara, beautiful. I'll use the money for the Shevet Yatzara for a guy for the same reason, even though he already fulfilled the mitzvah of Pru. Rabotai comes, the Behetiv and continues and he says like this. This is like the opinion, like the ones that want to say in Sivchet, because we'll see that there's two opinions in Seif Chet. Let me see something. Rabbi said, I do apologize. Let me just see something. Okay. Yes. I'm not going to read the whole thing. We'll get the book and we'll read it. The first opinion says, Af al pi sheken pri urvirya asur lo lamod b'lo isha. V'tzarich she'isa isha bat banim im yosh sipek biyado. Afilu yesh lo kama banim ve'im en sipek biyado l'isa isha bat banim el im ken yimchor sefer Torah im en lo banim yimchor. Okay, that's pause 1 second. Kedei she'isa isha bat banim. Aval im yesh lo banim. Here we go, Rabotah. Guys, I'm not going to go through the whole halacha, only because I need to just get to the... When we get there, we'll discuss the whole halacha. This is what I want to show, Rabotah. He says, Eli says, she'en bat banim. 1 second. 1 second. Where am I? Where did I lose it? Here. Im en lo banim, if he doesn't have children, yimchor kedei she'isa isha bat banim. That he should sell, we should sell the Sefer Torah in order for him to be able to marry a girl that's able to bring children to the world. Aval, however, it's the first opinion in the Shulchan Aruch, in Halacha Chet, in Siman Aleph. Aval im yesh lo banim, if he has children, meaning he did the mitzvah of Purvu, lo yimchor, you're not allowed to sell the Sefer Torah. That you're not allowed to do, Rabotai. You're not allowed to sell. That is the Day Rishon, that's brought as Stam, meaning anonymous. But the V'yesh Omrim over here is saying, Shafilu im yesh lo banim, Rabotai, listen to the machloket over here. Shafilu im yesh lo banim, even if he has children, he did the mitzvah purvu, Yimchor Sefer Torah, he should sell the Sefer Torah, Kedei Shisa Isha Bat Banim. In order for him to go ahead and marry a woman who's able to bring him more children to the world, because of the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzarim. The one that wants the Stam, the Shulchan Aruch is bringing down, which we're going to go like Stam v'yesh halacha kistam. He's telling 1 second, if you did the mitzvah of Purvu, you have no right to sell the Sefer Torah. Do you know why? When do we say the Shevet Yatzarim? That's if you did not do the mitzvah of Purvu. But once you did the mitzvah of Purvu, then the Shevet Yatzarim is not on you because you already fulfilled the mitzvah of Purvu. However, the Yesh Omrim are going to tell you no. Why? Even if you fulfill the mitzvah of Purvu, since the Shevet Yatzarim has nothing to do with Purvu, it's a separate mitzvah on its own. Sell the Sefer Torah. Let him go get married to a girl that's able to bring him children, more children to the world. So Rabotai, so what's going on over here? Now, that's in Halacha Chet. You see why I couldn't do all this in the previous shiur? It's a lot of information, Rabotai. That's what he says over here. We have a very big problem with the Bash. If the Bash is going to tell me right now that the Shevet Yatzarim, if the Bash is going to tell me right now that you're allowed to go ahead and sell the Sefer Torah for an orphan girl because she has the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzarim, then it's going to come out that you're also allowed to sell the Sefer Torah for a man, even though he already did the mitzvah of Purvu, because we don't want him to be alone, and he has to get married to a woman who's able to bring children, and so on and so forth. Like it's brought down in the Yesh Omrim in Halacha Echad, what I just read for you. But Rabotai, when you learn the Bash like this, it comes out over here that L'Shevet Yatzarim is by itself and Purvu is by itself. Beautiful. Now, let's move to the question. Imken. If so, if we're going to say what we just said on top, that I'm allowed to sell the Sefer Torah for an orphan girl because of the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzarim, and so too I'm allowed to sell the Sefer Torah for a boy that did the mitzvah of Purvu, because he also has the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzarim. Imken, if so, lo muchach Tosfot midi bechagiga daf bet amud bet. Tosfot does not prove anything in Masechet Chagiga on page 2, side 2. Because what does Tosfot say over there? Tosfot says over there that aseh, which is going on l'shevet Yatzarim, is better, is stronger than pru urvu. But listen carefully. Tosfot uses the language that the aseh, the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzarim, is stronger than the mitzvah of pru urvu. Comes out over here like this. Tosfot wants to say that the Shevet Yatzarim and Pru Urvu are connected. We'll see right now what I mean. The Shevet Yatzarim and Pru Urvu are connected. That's why he's comparing it that the Shevet Yatzarim is better than Pru Urvu because they're interlocked. But according to the way the Bash wants to explain it, L'shevet Yatzar is by itself, Pruvu is by itself. If that's the case, Tosfos is not telling me any chiddush. Why is Tosfos telling me L'shevet Yatzar is better than Pruvu? How's it better than Pruvu? You see clearly there's two separate entities. One has nothing to do with another. So why are you comparing L'shevet Yatzar to Pruvu? So therefore, if we're going to learn like the Bash, we have to say that Tosfot, what he brings down Masech Chagiga and Davet Amud Bet, doesn't make sense. There's no chiddush, there's no novelty. It doesn't, for what? How can, listen, let me ask you a question. You have heavyweight and you have lightweight. What do you tell me? Why are you comparing? Why are you telling me that the lightweight is, or the heavyweight is better? How are you comparing the two? How? Lightweight is lightweight. It's a category by itself. Heavyweight is, compare heavyweight to heavyweight. Lightweight to lightweight. Compare oranges to oranges, apples to apples. But don't compare apples to oranges. Rabotai comes out of it like this. Comes the Behit, and he says like this one more time. If so, if you're going to say like the Bash, Lo muchach Tosfot midi b'chagiga davet amud bet. Tosfot doesn't prove anything Masech Chagiga, because when he says over there, Hai ase'alim tafei mipru urvu, because he wants to say that mitzvah of l'shevet Yatzara, which is an aseh, mitzvah aseh, to bring children, that mitzvah of l'shevet Yatzara, yes, I hope you guys see it, that mitzvah of l'shevet Yatzara is much stronger than the mitzvah of Pruvu. And what is proof? Kedamrim b'Megillah, because brought down Masech Megillah. He actually uses these same words in Masech Chagiga. Mocher Adam Sefer Torah v'chulu. He says over there, a person should sell the Sefer Torah. I want to just tell it outside. Because he says you have to, except you have to go get the Gemara. I don't know, should I get the Gemara? Maybe I should, yes? Let me see one second. 1 second, my boy side. Let's do this. 1 second. Let's do this. You know something? Let's do this. Okay. Back into business. Here we go. Let's just see the language inside. Okay. I'm sorry, something. In Davet Amud Bet, all the way on the bottom. It's literally on the bottom. Let's just get it. Okay, about 3/4 on the bottom. Right, it says like this. Lo tohu bara'ah. Right, it says that Hashem did not create the world to be a wasteland. So he says, Hai aseh alim tafei mipru urvu. That mitzvah aseh of, meaning l'shevet yatar, because the one continuation we'll see. Hai aseh alim tafei mipru urvu. Ki damar b'Megillah perik bater daf chavzayin amur aleph. Mocher Adam, listen to the language. Mocher Adam Sefer Torah lisa isha v'lelmod Torah. A person should sell the Sefer Torah to marry a woman and to learn Torah. Almighty, listen what verse it brings. If you want to tell me that you're allowed to sell the Sefer Torah to learn Torah and to marry a woman, what verse should I bring? Shouldn't I have brought the verse of Purvu? When we're dealing with marriage, I should have brought Purvu, no? But he says, no, it brings the pasuk over there, Lo tohu bara'ah. That Hashem did not create the world for a wasteland, but rather He created the world that it should be populated with people. L'shevet Yatzara. So from there, Tosfos wants to prove that the mitzvah of L'shevet Yatzara is much stronger than the mitzvah of Purvu. So over here we see clearly that L'shevet Yatzara is connected to Purvu. But according to the Bash, he wants to disconnect them. If it's disconnected, so what's the novelty? What's the proof that Tosfos is bringing me and trying to tell me that L'shevet Yatzar is better than Purvu? It's not better than Purvu, because it has nothing to do with Purvu. I hope you guys are getting it. So one more time, Rabotai, always remember the secret in learning. Once you get something, go back and go again. Always go in the stream. Don't go smack in the middle. Then you're not going to know where you're holding. Im ken Rabotai, so lo muchach Tosfot midi. If we're going to hold like the Bash, Tosfot doesn't prove anything but Chagiga daf bet amud bet. Hai aseh alim tafei. Right, that mitzvah of L'shevet Yatzar is better than Purvu. Ki da'amrim b'Megillah, like I said in Masech Megillah. Mocher Adam Sefer Torah v'chul. You have to finish it, which we did. A person is allowed to sell the Sefer Torah, etc. Almighty, but which verse does it bring? Lo tohu bara ki im l'shevet v'gomer. He brings a verse that Hashem did not create the world to be a wasteland, but rather that it should be populated with people. And conclude. So from this Tosfot, we see clearly what? That there's no Chiddush. What Chiddush is there? Because from the Bash, it's not connected. If it's not connected, what is Tosfot bringing a proof? That's because that's the proof he wanted to bring. So one more time, I want to make sure I'm clear. Tosfot wanted to bring from Masechet Megillah and Daf Chazayin, Amud Bet, or Amud Aleph, let me just see. Sorry. Chazayin Amud Aleph. Tosfot wanted to bring a Gemara Masechet Megillah to prove to us that L'Shevet Yatzara is better than Pru Urvu. But if we're going to learn like the Bash, there's no proof because they're not connected. And now that you have another problem. And so too in Masechet Gitin, Daf Mem Aleph, which is page 41, Amud Bet, side 2, you could maybe say over there also that could change the whole Peshat according to the Bash. Dilma Lahachi Atya Gemara. Maybe this is why the Gemara brought the verse over there, Lo Tahu V'Gomer. Maybe this is why the Gemara brought the pasuk of L'Shevet Yatzara. Maybe because of this. Lehora maybe was trying to teach us like this. Av b'shekvar ki Pru Urvu. Maybe that's why he brought the pasuk. Maybe even if a person went ahead and he fulfilled the mitzvah of Pru Urvu, you're allowed to go ahead and you're allowed to sell the Sefer Torah. Maybe that's why he brought it. How do I know why he brought it? V'hu adin b'shil yotama. And same halakha is going to apply for an orphan girl. D'lo shaykh Pru Urvu. Because she has no relations to the mitzvah of Pru Urvu. Mochrim b'shul shevet yatzara, and you're allowed to go ahead and now you're going to sell because she sells the mitzvah l'shevet yatzara. Now, Rabotai comes down over here like this: that if we're going to go with the Bash, Tosfot doesn't prove anything when he wanted to say that l'shevet yatzara is better than Pru Urvu, and not only that in Masechet Gitin I could relearn the Gemara now. Maybe I could tell you when they brought over there that l'shevet yatzara, maybe I shouldn't learn like Tosfot that l'shevet yatzara is connected to Pru Urvu, so therefore. When can you use the money of the Sefer Torah? That's when he has no children. But if he has children and he wants to get remarried, you cannot use the money. But now if we're going to go to all the way Rabotai, maybe we could learn, on the contrary, maybe if we're going to learn like the Bash, maybe that's why the Gemara put the verse over there, L'Shevet Yatzara in Masechet Gitin. Maybe to teach me like the Bash, and not like Tosfot. To tell me that I'm allowed to go ahead and use the money of the Sefer Torah to marry off a boy who already fulfilled the mitzvah of Pru Urvu. And same halakha is going to apply to a girl. Not like we saw before that you're not allowed to use this for them. Even though the girl has no relations to Pru Urvu because she's not commended in that mitzvah. Good. She doesn't have to be commended. You're right, she's not commended. But she has another mitzvah on her. And that's to populate the world. When it comes to populate the world, the women are also included in that mitzvah. Rabotai, the question. That was the whole difficulty. Basically what we're saying is like this. If we're going to go like the Bash, to say that L'Shevet Yatzara and Pru Urvu are two separate entities, then Tosfot doesn't have a Chiddush. When Tosfot wants to say that L'Shevet Yatzara is better than Pru Urvu, why are you connecting it? They shouldn't be connected. They're not connected. So what do you tell them that is better than this? They're two separate things. And not only that, maybe Masechet Gitin we could relearn the pasuk of L'Shevet Yatzara. Maybe really when the pasuk came, it didn't tell us that you're not allowed to marry off a boy who already fulfilled the mitzvah of Pru Urvu, and you're not allowed to marry off an orphan girl because she does have the mitzvah of L'Shevet Yatzara. Maybe just the opposite. Since they're two separate mitzvot, good. So now I can go and I can tell you that a boy, even though he fulfilled the mitzvah of Pru Urvu, he's allowed to go ahead and use the money of the Sefer Torah to get remarried and have more children because he has the mitzvah of L'Shevet Yatzara. So too by an orphan girl. You're right. She's not included in the mitzvah of Pru Urvu. Beautiful. But still she has the mitzvah of L'Shevet Yatzara to go ahead and populate the world, which she can do. So maybe we're allowed to go ahead and use the money from the Sefer Torah to marry her off. So Rabotai, that is the question. That is the difficulty, Rabotai. So that's what the Behetir says. If I'm going to learn like the Bash, I don't understand Tosfot. How can Tosfot say that the L'Shevet Yatzara is better than Pru Urvu when they're not connected? Now, Rabotai, let me tell you outside, before I just read the next piece, now it's going to get easier. Let me just explain to you outside. You have to understand, according to Tosfot, once I tell you this, you'll understand the ending also. You have to understand, according to Tosfot, when he's learning that L'Shevet Yatzara is better than Pru Urvu, he is learning that they're connected. So remember the rule: when they're connected, so therefore l'shevet yatzar and pruvu are one. Now you can never marry off a boy who fulfilled the mitzvah of pruvu with the money of the Sefer Torah, because l'shevet yatzar is only when you didn't do the mitzvah of pruvu. But once you did the mitzvah of pruvu, there's no l'shevet yatzar. So if l'shevet yatzar is really connected to the mitzvah of pruvu, now I can't even marry off lo aleinu an orphan girl, because she doesn't have the mitzvah of pruvu. She doesn't have the mitzvah of pruvu. She doesn't have the mitzvah of l'shevet yatzar, because they go hand in hand. So according to Tosfot, in short, Tosfot would tell you that if you have a boy that came to shul and he's an orphan, or not even an orphan, doesn't matter, regular boy, but he did the mitzvah of pruvu and he tells us, sell the Sefer Torah because he wants to get married, or he has his own Sefer Torah and he wants to get married, Tosfot is going to tell you, sorry, you can't do it. Since you already fulfilled the mitzvah of pruvu, you already did the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara. But still, the Shevet Yatzara is better than pruvu because they're one. But we see from the pasuk, because Tosfot brings Masech Megillah that they brought the verse of the Shevet Yatzar, not pruvu, when it comes to selling the Sefer Torah. All right, but I do not want to confuse you, but I hope you guys are getting it. So that's what it's going to be according to Tosfot. Tosfot is going to tell the boy, you're not allowed to go ahead and sell the Sefer Torah because you did the mitzvah of pruvu. However, what happens if the boy didn't do the mitzvah of pruvu? Beautiful. You didn't do the mitzvah of pruvu, so you have the mitzvah on you of the Shevet Yatzar, which is higher than pruvu. We're going to tell you you're allowed to go ahead and sell the Sefer Torah. What about in relations to the orphan girl? Since the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzar is connected to the mitzvah of pruvu, we're going to tell you to the orphan girl, since she has no mitzvah of pruvu, she does have the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzar. She does not have the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzar. If that's the case, if an orphan girl comes in and she says she needs money and we don't have, we're not obligated to sell the Sefer Torah, or even if she has, she's not allowed to sell the Sefer Torah according to Tosfot. Why? Because she's not included in the rule of pruvu. When she's not included in the rule of pruvu, she's not included in the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara. That was in the world of Tosfot. In the world of the Bash, it's going to tell just the opposite. Since they're two separate entities, which is just simple, two separate entities, pruvu has nothing to do with the Shevet Yatzara. Good. If it has nothing to do, so then you're allowed to go ahead and help an orphan girl, because she has the mitzvah of the Shevet Yatzara. And not only that, you are even allowed to go ahead and marry off a boy, even though he already fulfilled the mitzvah of pruvu, because we don't want him to be without a wife. So that's what we want to say, that if we go like the Bash, we see over here that Tosfot has no real novelty, no real proof that the Shevet Yatzar is better and bigger and stronger than pruvu. Because according to the Bash, they're not connected. So what kind of proof is Tosfot bringing? So Rabotai, let's see the answer. Ve'ayin b'magen Avraham be'Or Chaim Siman Kuf Nun Gimel Siv Katan Tet Ayin Sham. Says, look into the Magen Avraham and Or Chaim in Siman 153, Siv Katan Tet. Look over there, he says. V'lo'acher iyun laf kushihu. He says, after you look into it, it's not a difficulty. What we asked the question from the Bash on Tosfot, because the way the Bash is learning is two separate things, and the way Tosfot is learning is really one thing. But if you go like the Bash, then Tosfot has no proof that the Shevet Yatzar is better and stronger than pruvu. This is not a difficulty. Why? He says like this: the Tosfot shekatvu hay aseh alim tafei v'chulu savri be'emet kedeya rishona. Tosfot that they wrote that aseh of the Shevet Yatzara is better and stronger than pruvu, etc. They hold in reality, in truth, they hold like the first opinion should be sivchet. Tosfot really holds like like the stam opinion in Halacha Chet, which I read for you. Over there, he holds that the Shevet Yatzara and pruvu, they go hand in hand. So therefore, Tosfot is going to tell you, since they go hand in hand, that's why you're not allowed to sell the Sefer Torah for an orphan girl or even for a boy who fulfilled the mitzvah of pruvu. וכן הוא בחדיה ביבמות דף סמך א' עמוד ב' תוספות בדיבר המתחיל נפקא מינה וכולו. So you see this opening Masech Yevamot, page 61, side 2, in Tosfot at the beginning of the words, nafka mina, etc. So bottom line we see right now over here, that you brought the Bash and Tosfot. Bad comparison. Why? Because Tosfot does not hold like the Bash. In the initial thought, we were thinking maybe they were really thinking one and the same, that they're two separate things. No. Tosfot says, I don't even hold nothing like you, Bash. Bash, we're going to see right now, holds like the Yesh Omrim in Halacha Chet, and Tosfot holds like the Stam in Halacha Chet. So that's what he says here. Bash the Katav the Muchrim Sefer Torah b'shvil la'asi yitoma, and the Bash that he wrote that you're allowed to sell the Sefer Torah in order to marry off an orphan girl, Kedei likayem Shevet Yatzara, in order to fulfill the mitzvah of Shevet Yatzara, Ken Katav, he wrote that, Lifi Yesh Omrim, he wrote that in accordance with another opinion. Shebesivchet, Ein V'doik, which is in Sivchet, look into it and you'll delve into you'll see that it's clear. Rabotai, what did we just answer over here? Very simple. You wanted to bring the Bash, which held like the Yesh Omrim, and Tosfot, which held like the Stam opinion. You're bringing me you're bringing two different scenarios altogether. If you would have told me that they both hold in the Stam opinion, okay, good, then we have a question. But they hold like two different rabbis altogether. So you want to hold like Chacham Ovadia, be my guest. You want to hold like the Ben Ish Chai, be my guest. But you can't ask me a question why he says this like this. It's not on the same topic. The Bash that held like the Yesh Omrim and Sivchet, Yesh Omrim means the ones that say, the Bash that held like the Yesh Omrim and Sivchet, over there the Yesh Omrim and Sivchet hold that the Shevet Yatzara and Puru have nothing to do with each other. But Tosfot, he held like the Stam in Sivchet, and the Stam in Sivchet said that you're not allowed to sell the Sefer Torah for a boy who already did the mitzvah of Puru. Why? Because L'Shevet Yatzara and Puru are interlocked.